Even I overshot my project budget.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. Abhi? कुछ मैंने कहीं तो पढ़ा और मैं यार ये घर पे कब से लिखने हैं? वेबसाइट अच्छा बना है। वेबसाइट अच्छा बना है।
Yeah. Where's the sound coming from? Who was it? इधर I was trying. Where is the feedback coming from? Like no one else has joined. I only joined. पता नहीं कहाँ से आ रहा है.
I'm supposed to join you, right?
Who was it? I was trying. Yes, I know where it's. Listen is also disabled, I don't know.
Should I join this thing? Yes, I guess I'm joined. No? Yes.
You have to join the Hangout, not the event. I sent you an invite again. Murli. One time.
Hey, I'm getting the
Amma. कोई हेल्प करो यार. क्या? Yeah, but if you Unmute.
I have joined this thing, right?
I'll invite you.
Which link?
I'll invite you. You have Hangout open, right?
I have removed one answer.
Hold on.
Camera.
Hold on.
I have read and understood. Did I join?
Yes. I'm making a question. Need to take it?
Yes.
Should we start? Yeah.
Good morning. Should we start? It's 9:30 already. Welcome to Untitled Bangalore May. My name is Pushkar, and moderator for the Bangalore chapter, and I couldn't do anything last month, so sorry for that. And so sorry? OWASP and right. So this meet is so OWASP. So this meet is jointly.
You should be the camera.
So welcome to Bangalore Meet. I'll be speaking about. We'll be studying from today about mobile vulnerabilities and OWASP Mobile top 10 vulnerabilities. So today is just an introduction for it. Next. When we start about OWASP Bangalore chapter.
Use OWASP.
We so what is mobile top 10? Given by OWASP.
Is that not plain sign?
On the similar lines of top 10, yeah. This is on the similar lines of the web application vulnerabilities which we have given by OWASP, and it is because the same number of attacks have been happening on the mobile device, on the mobile platforms now. So when we say talking about mobile top 10, these are not the only top vulnerabilities which are seen on mobile platforms, but these are only the top 10. This project is intended for the developers, the security professionals, and of course the users as well. The link for the mobile security project is there, and this project is still under it is going under many revisions. It is not yet finalized. So the recent release of 2014 is a re-release candidate for this particular project. So mainly it focuses on iOS and Android platforms. Windows and other mobile platforms are generically explained into this complete work. This was started since 2012 last time, and when we had the first release or first top 10 for mobile platforms came in, we had these vulnerabilities. To compare between, we have some new additions, we have some vulnerabilities which have gone down the top 10 list, which have some vulnerabilities which have gone up. So when we say ki, how does this happen, they get a survey from all the users around the world for this top 10 vulnerability. So I was talking about the vulnerabilities which has gone up and which has up the rating or gone down the rating. So you see these four vulnerabilities has now the recent survey says these are now less found uh, the into the mobile vulnerabilities list because maybe some other reasons as well. And these M4 of 2014 are very similar to each other, but the M10 which has been added newly is like lack of binary protections, where we deal with the APK or IPA files to be reversed or disassembled, and the vulnerabilities or the loopholes which can be found by reversing or disassembling these binary of mobile applications. So we'll go one by one for 2014 vulnerabilities today, and we'll just take an overview of all the vulnerabilities today. And from the next meet, maybe we can take up with each and every vulnerability in detail, and we can have some demos about all the vulnerabilities. This is just an introduction, so you can have your questions, but all most
Is on the screen? I have a mic connection which can work properly. Yeah. Share. That's what I said. Select a desktop sharing. Desktop sharing.
My name is Akash. I am working as a software engineer and interested in
I work at Ultimate for the country code. Here in this library, Garage4Hackers Hi, my name is Rahul.
Hi everyone, Anant Shrivastava. Right now working as a freelance consultant, focused towards web applications and mobile security.
and the next session is by Anant.
Anyone else left for introduction?
My name is Rupam Bhattacharya. I'm working as a pen tester and application security engineer in a Big Four, and I'm one of the chapter leads of Bangalore. That's it.
He works with AS, no?
Hello everyone, I'm Jayesh. I work as an information security analyst with I've been with null for 2 years. I've been with null for the past 2 years.
Hi, I'm Akash. I'm a community manager with null. I've been associated with null Bangalore since 2009. That's when we started. And I was in company for OWASP.
Prashant, your introduction.
This is a video recording guy. I'm Prashant. I'm one of the channels.
Video recording.
How many of you are here from the OWASP? Show of hands. Okay. And null mailing list? What about G4H?
Okay. Next session is news bytes by Anant.
Okay, so
One sec. This is security.
Yes.
yeah, so this is still security news bytes, but I've just kept the title as news bytes. So we didn't have a news bytes session for a long time, so we thought of rebooting it. So I hope you like the new format, which I kind of created in last 30 minutes. Countries. So the usage of networks like at an all-time high, especially from these countries. eBay was hacked. The funny part, the funny Which one? Yeah, so basically was even when it is
database company DU. That's also not this. I mean,
That's the same, right? DUO, right? DUO is like
geosecurity.
no, DU.
okay.
I don't know exactly.
How do they verify that?
I mean, DU, they are just, before that, they have their researcher who was trying to implement this kind of security, and actually they found it previously, and they know that
Like if you're going to make a automated call.
Screen share option is not there for me. It's not working.
and I don't know that how they have
Make
implemented this
me
control of
presentable.
You can ask them to include something like +1 or +2. Oh, okay.
But as far as I know, that if you talk of mobile, it always sends a code. So if your mobile is busy, there is a code that is sent. So if you can implement that, if into a voicemail, this code.
I've got control room access, but screen share is still not working.
Are you using it?
Yeah, I'm using Linux, but it was working the minute before.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you have to enable. Can you meet? What do you think? No, nothing. Okay, we'll continue with this. Other interesting news was there was an RC attack which was described at this URL, set down. The funny part about this particular attack was this was not actually on Yahoo, MSN, or all. This was actually on an ad network with a hosted domain. So something like ads.yahoo.some subdomain or ads.msn.something. That particular domain was actually hosted by some other party. And that party had a vulnerability. So you can upload a shell there and you basically get access to all these subdomains, because if it is uploaded once, it is available in all the other sites. So if you got it on Yahoo, you uploaded it on Yahoo, the same URL is valid for MSN also. You just have to replace the subdomain, and you get it on the MSN domain also. So heartbeat still continues a lot of things, like I told 5 clearly outlines it. There are 43% of certificates which are reissued due to heartbeat. There are 50% of certificates which are revoked. So there is a gap between the two. And then there are 7% of certificates which are reissued, but they're using the same private. Already have access to the private key, so it's of no use. Besides these, couple of interesting articles that caught my eye were, so this one is a particular news I was not able to find authentic source which I can refer, but I know because I have the Bitcoin blockchain. So if anyone is using Bitcoins and is using a Windows machine, there was a time frame when your blockchains were marked as virus, because someone actually embedded a virus signature of Stoned virus. Stoned is a very old, I mean, 10-15 years or more old virus, which just prompts your Stone. That's it. That particular signature was added to blockchain, and your Microsoft Security Essential and other tools were marking it as virus.
that is like
So they can't do anything. It's not actually a threat. But the funny part was the software, depending on how it is configured.
Yeah, blockchain.
Your bandwidth loss, and it's a huge loss. Not considering you're using what Airtel is obviously a loss. Act is not a loss. FPS or 50 Mbps. Speaking, I found it very good, very relevant to the number of CTS that we continue playing. So this is something that you might like. Umair published an article on NII about polling network using port. It's an old technique, but still a good revision. Again, looking at okay, this issue still exists. Igor Homopov, who's a guy known for most of his OAuth-related flaws, he has now published a site named as OAuth Securities, which is kind of a cheat sheet and a guideline on what kind of OAuth-related security issues that you might encounter and what could be the possible ways around it. iOS cheat sheet has come up, doubt about iOS tools. So this link can actually help you. And for others, this is an iOS application security cheat sheet by OWASP. Gives you a comprehensive detail about what kind of doing when you are testing an iOS application, as well as a comprehensive list of people and for what we can use. This was there, but the new release has happened with a lot more. Yeah, this PPT will be available. Where? Reddit also. Yeah. So we have Reddit on Reddit, so reddit.com/r/. That's where we keep all these links. So as soon as the presentation is done, all these links will go in there. And for the other presentations, as and on the presentations are made, I'll make sure the links are available. Facebook has released a library which is they are using to encrypt on SD cards. Outlook. Someone has found that this plain text format on the device itself. So there's a chance that someone might be able to retrieve it. So how many of you follow Chrome or Chromium updates? What is new in Chrome and all? Okay, so Chrome has over time shifted from using conventional plugins like the Adobe Acrobat Reader to having their own plugins. So Chrome had a plugin PDF. Pepper plugin has now been released to be used with other browsers. PDFium is the PDF software that they were using. That is again open source. The reason why I'm putting up what is open source, what is available, what is not, you can try finding flaws in this. There might be two outcomes. You may actually find a flaw. You don't find a flaw. You learn how. So it's a win-win situation for both sides. GitHub. Anyone here who does not know about GitHub or who does not have an account on GitHub? Okay. So there are a few. So GitHub is a code version control system. So GitHub has a global parameter. GitHub relies on a global parameter on your system named as user.email. That's the question.
I was told today that
Okay. GitHub. Okay. OWASP is called OWASP everywhere. Okay. GitHub. On your local system. So if you have user.email info, your commits will be marked under mine on GitHub website. So that's a username forging flaw which is there. It is not a flaw of Git, a version control system. It's a flaw in the implementation by GitHub. The XML attacks. Amol took a XML Hamla session a few days back, few months back. This particular white paper is basically outlining all the attacks. Whatever attacks XML infra, all those attacks are outlined on this white paper. Besides Outlook, another Microsoft product named as Skype also stores plain text data in various locations on your machines. So if you have Skype installed, you can actually look into these locations and you'll see plain text details. So that will be for Linux, it will be home, your username. This is the location where the data is stored. This has multiple files which has plain text data, your chat logs and a lot of other details. And Ionic, who's a known jailbreaker for Apple devices, recently published an image by which he is basically claiming that he has a jailbreak for the latest version of iOS, which is 7.1.1. No other details are available, but just for the fact that this is happening. Full disclosure, I had some interesting discussions. One was around Telegram authentication bypass. So Telegram is a messaging company which basically provides you, which basically claims that they have a secure messaging communication. Your data is encrypted and you cannot decrypt it. No one can get access to your data. And even if it is traveling, the data is in fully encrypted format, in a plain format and serverless. So this guy actually started this discussion. I can bypass. What it turned out to be that you have to use that as a chat client, then he has access to it. It is as simple as me asking, okay, install a software which I give you, and then I have access to your entire system. So you're basically shifting the trust to me, not to Telegram. So there's an interesting debate going on this particular discussion thread. The second news. So in Windows, we have all the software installed under program files or program files x86. That's the default location. Now, if everyone remembers or who remotely work on Windows sometimes, remember that in between program files there's a blank space. And on your command line, a blank space is treated as a next input. So if you have to give an executable path, you should actually be double quoting the entire path. That's how you work with the binaries. Now iTunes and HP OfficeJet drivers, they're not quoting them on C drive. Whenever they want to execute, whenever iTunes wants to execute, or whenever HP drivers want to execute, they'll basically be executing program.exe. Because the URL or the path would be /program space, effectively program. So, an age-old issue, I think this is the day the paths were longer than 8 inches, but still prevalent. For Linux, pseudo-related privileges. So there's one particular software which is kind of an education software. Once you install it, it adds a line into your Linux config, and using that you can run sudo as any user. So a couple of new tools have come up. Redumsa, which is actually a burp intruder married with Redumsa. Redumsa is a fuzzing tool that mutates or generates a lot of payload. So if you give it a string or give it a file, it generates multiple versions of it with some changes in the input. So Redumsa basically integrates your burp intruder with Redumsa. So you can have now burp intruder payloads generated via Redumsa. Zap has a new version. So this is that plugin. This is actually that same plugin. The Zap proxy, there's a new version available, and a couple of new plugins have also been added into Zap. One of our local used the Metasploit decoder. So if anyone has worked with Android tools, they would have realized that the APK file has all the XML files binary encoded. So you cannot directly extract it. It is unreadable directly, but the SSL. So whenever you have an RTP SSL, the word article you'll see around it. So this guy is actually on how to access MITM. In fact, plain text recap dump when there's an RDP connection over SSL. Hook Analyzer, which is a malware analysis tool, is a new version. Heartbleed Analysis Daemon. This is actually the reverse heartbleed. So heartbleed we generally talk about server. Heartbleed is also applicable to clients, which are using vulnerable open SSL binaries. Instead of someone being a server, client. Sandcat is a browser, is a what we say, a clone or a fork of Chromium browser, which has a lot of tools for pen testers. Till now, it was closed source. Recently, the author is open sourced it. iGoat, I think Pushkar talked about iGoat as a vulnerable for iOS applications. There's a new version of it on 9th of May. App Sensor Guide, another project by OWASP is released, which basically is a framework and methodology on how to prevent attacks and how to counter the attacks, what kind of automated response you can do, and how to detect intrusions. Tails, which is a amnesic system release, which basically means it runs as a live ISO. You directly run it. Once the system is restarted or the ISO is removed, there is no trail of what happened on that system. What sites you visit, what transactions you did, there's no trail of it. So this is used if you don't want to do a trail of what you're doing. Depends. If the ISO is actually storing something on your RAM, if the ISO has an option like Nopix, which is one of the age-old live ISOs, there's an option of there's a persistent storage option. Yeah. This one I am not. As far as I remember, this is not use swap. System will not. And entirely on RAM. Plus, it has those.
Yeah, actually they are using one kind of XFree code, and you just shutting down just before that they can have the entire memory for the RAM and for that.
Okay, I'm just about to end. So exploit TV stats, I just thought that okay, it will be a good thing to add. So in last 1 month, that is from last meet till today, there are 15 remote exploits, 6 local exploits, 17 web exploits, 8 DOS exploits, and 9 white papers published on exploit TV. If you're not keeping a tab on exploit TV, actually, I hope I'm done within time. 25 minutes. Okay, awesome. Then in that case, let me pull up this. Okay, so what more? Just a sec. Visible to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put up these things also, but this is kind of a flashback. So Volatility has added support for VirtualBox-based memory analysis. So even the VirtualBox core dump can then be analyzed. The details are available on Volatility Wiki. Bupin actually disclosed about the Pontoon Firefox exploit. So it's a detailed write-up about the Firefox exploit that they used and how they were able to still access remote. Yeah, this particular essay or white is a detailed analysis of what exactly was the flaw, what could have prevented future, what vulnerable to such kind of flaws. Because the interesting part about this heartbeat flaw was there was a mem disclosure, but due to the developer sense, the default functions, it was not detected. So that is why it missed all the things. This actually has a very detailed analysis of it. There's a plug about my product also. So Trini from Null Hyderabad is creating multiple articles on Infotech Institute about using exploiting Android applications using Android Tamer. So that's the plug. Okay. So Android Tamer is a live ISO environment which I've created, which allows you to work on Android development. We went to a single package, pre-configured, available right as soon as you boot it. So as soon as you boot the live ISO or a virtual machine, you have all the tools available. You just need the APK or a machine. Even the emulator is available. RAM is the RAM required. A virtual machine you can run the emulator.
It's like Mobisec.
Mobisec, but Mobisec has a aim of primarily towards security and looking at the entire landscape of mobile software. I'm not looking at the entire landscape
you'll be looking at your friend or someone who you know to
if you use a 16-bit subsystem. It went over my head too. I've just kept it here. So whosoever gets what exactly this guy is trying to talk about can actually read more details on full disclosure. Yeah. Now I'm really done. Now I don't have anything.
Okay. Maybe take 5 minutes to set up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Anant.
Thanks.
Okay. Next we have Rahul. He will be talking about web service exploitation, particularly on SOAP exploitation. देखो यूएस से कब वापस आ गए? हाँ वही तो देखो यार देखो वापस आ गए।
Yeah, so I'm just going to give a quick introduction. So I have a question for you guys. So I got two topics prepared for today. So one was how many people were there for null? How many in this room were there for null? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if I want to get yes for this question, at least more than 15 people, I'm going to choose the first topic. If it's less than that, I'll go with what I was prepared for today. That's web service exploitation. So whatever I presented in NullCon, it was on the digital cable TV attacks, hacking television networks actually. So that is one topic I have, and the actual topic which I was supposed to present that is the web service exploitation. So the question is, how many people want the hacking television networks?
We are already ahead of time. We are already ahead of time. We can take full.
So fine. So there was a lady who asked for the second thing. So what I'm going to do is, I think, okay, how many want the web service exploitation? Okay. Okay. So we'll stick with the second one.
So the next one we have planned use session on cable networks.
So I'm going to present this thing on HITP the coming Tuesday in Amsterdam. So after that, I'll release the entire thing on my blog. So I don't think it would be cool to present something on the blog. That is only. Right. Yeah, so we'll stick with the plan one, attacking web services. There's nothing new in this. Everything which I'm going to speak today is publicly available on internet. I'm just going to speak about it, and I might have a few demos about it. That's all. It's nothing new.
So don't expect much. So myself, Rahul, I work as a security engineer for Citrix. I'm a speaker. I got the opportunity to speak in these places. I think I have to stay here, right, because the video. Okay. So yeah. So I would be presenting at HITB Amsterdam on Tuesday. I'm one of the members of the community Garage4Hackers. How many of you are aware of that? Oh, okay, so you are doing a good job advertising us. Thank you for that. So we have other community members also over here. I think you should talk to them. I would want you guys to join us. So it's just a platform where you could share your knowledge, whatever you do in your office. You know, you just wanted to make information free, like what the community does. What we do is online. Everything we do is on a forum. So we could be reached at garage4hackers.com. My handle on Twitter is FP1H2S. Doesn't have any meaning. So thanks to this guy. So he's the founding member of Isaac Partners. Thanks for him for a lot of slides. I mean, a lot of slides which I'm going to present today are from his presentation in 2006. So thanks for that. So how many of you are aware of web services or have tested web services before? Okay. So there's nothing new about it, because if you have knowledge about the practical application security, web application security, this thing is again a piece of cake for you. The only thing is that the transportation is a bit different. The protocol is a bit different. Apart from that, everything else is. So web services, let's say HTTP, I mean a web application runs on HTTP. Web services, the protocol is XML. We'll come to that. So XML stands for External Markup Language. SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol. So that is one sort of web service. SOAP is one sort of web service. So we want to completely focus on SOAP today because of the time we have. We'll have a bit explanation, introduction, and the architecture of the SOAP services, and then we will move on to practical attacks and possible, few demos which we could do in the time we have. So I made the slides yesterday night, so I might not be even aware what the next slide would be. So yeah, so like I said, there is no necessity for a background on web services to know what I'm going to talk about. You only need to know the application security related things to understand. So what is the risk related to web, web services related things? Recently, 2 months back, there was a bug bounty. 2-3 months back, there was a bug bounty paid by Facebook, the largest bug bounty paid, which was about 36 lakh, 25 lakhs, was for one of these bugs actually. In one of their web services, so the guy got a file read, and there was a potential chance of getting code execution as well in one of their services. Another big thing which happened was in Google, so they paid around 10,000 USD, 1.6 lakh actually. That was also in this particular, one of their web services which was getting. So I won't be explaining what the bug is. It's nothing new anyways. But yeah, people are getting money paid for this particular bug. So we would be coming to those things. So these are few terms you need to, this might come up in some web service testing. So it's just mugging up or just going through it at least. WSTL standard, which XML-based language. The language is based on SOAP. So that is what we are going to talk about. Simple Object Access Protocol. It's based on XML. So this is recommended again. The recommendation. The thing is again W3C. That's the foundation which does all these things. Then you have UDDI, stands for Universal Description Discovery and Integration. RDF stands for Resource Description Framework. So these terms I might be using in the talk. You just have to be aware of that. So like I said, the web services implementation is simply you have a HTTP protocol you remove all the, so you have a post request. In the post request, the body is a form, right? You send a post request to a form. The form is what you're sending to the server. But instead of the form, over here in web services, you're actually sending an XML packet. That is the only difference. And in the XML packet, you have all the variables which you want to pass to the server. So it's like, if you're aware of the SMTP protocol, it's very similar to that. It's a message envelope. Envelope in the sense it's like a packet which contains an XML, and you're sending the packet to the server, and you expect a response back from the server. So a simple request would be like this. So you might be aware of this. The post request is very similar to the HTTP protocol. Post content length and content type and content length. And normally in web HTTP protocol, you will be having a form, but here instead of that, you have an XML. So this is XML envelope. So, and the response would be an XML again. There would not be no HTML or no JavaScript. It would be an XML which the response is going to be. So we're clear with that part, right? You can interrupt. Yeah.
I'm using the XML request and response even in the normal era.
Yeah.
So how do you differentiate this as going to the server?
So that's a good question. What you are asking is not a, so the request also has, it might be a request to a file, .xml file, but that is not a web service request. Okay, let's come back and see the protocol again. So over here, the entire body, the request body is an XML. That will not be the case when you make a request a .xml file. That might be what you're seeing in a normal web application. But if the request is also, the body is also XML, yes, then it is, what do you call it? Web service.
Apart from this, is there any other header or something?
Apart from this, yeah, so swap envelope is there, like I said. This is something which is very specific to. Yeah, so when you see that itself, it's pretty obvious that it's a swap.
You won't be able to see soap envelope. It would be client will be there, which will access the XML code, and then it will, you can take that information and put as a developer. So you won't know whether it is web services running behind or not. It is completely unless you are a developer and you code it, you won't know that it is something from code request. It will be just like a normal website.
Yeah, but whatever you have here could be, easily used to identify them. Yeah, so I think we are clear with that part. So the reason why web services are preferred is only because it's pretty easy to build. So this is something in ASP. And it's pretty easy to write. The only thing is there are already existing XML passes, which you just have to pass, and then you have the data coming from the client. So same like that gentleman did over here. If you have a question, speak up so we can we can make it more interactive. That way, you give it less. So. So these are the following things we will discuss specifically. We will discuss about XML because understanding XML, how it is parsed, how it works is very much essential when you are actually trying to hack something. It's actually about how much you know about your target that matters when you try to get into something. Then again, the discovery part is also there. There are tools which does this, but then again, what it does is it checks whether there is a swap envelope present or the right envelope present. But then it's going to be easy. So what is XML? So it's again something which is used to define a set of data. You can actually even send binary data in an XML protocol. It's simply again a text protocol. It has got schemas. It's got parsing mechanism in the backend which understands and passes the data. So these are the few following things which you can put inside an XML. XSP, XPath, XQuery, DT, XML signatures. So these following terms are all related to XML. So I'm interested to talk about between XML signatures. So the XML signatures again, the signatures, you can have one of the digital signatures incorporated inside an XML. That is what.
I think trust won't be able to verify
Why?
Actually, this according to the RFC only they have designed it like that. Like there's no evaluation whether you will go and verify this credit is from the short from.
No, this is not for authentication. This is more like a message digest. This is just to tell you that whatever the client was supposed to send, the complete thing without handling at least, or from the server. This is not for authentication. That's PKI, right? That's the completely separate.
Yeah. So moving here. So these are the following things. I mean, the simple thing with better thing with HTTP protocol is even if you make a mistake in the form, it's not really hard for the server to pass. But in XML, if you miss opening or closing bracket, then the backend server would not be able to process it. So there are actually DOS-related attacks on XML parsers. And then there are a lot of practical attacks. So recently, this guy wrote a big blog post on attacking XML. So you know the HackerOne portal, right, where they pay bug bounty for any applications on the internet. So this guy posted over it. So this thing is like all the XML parsers out there are vulnerable to denial of service. So you can construct the XML packet which could make the server slow. But obviously, the guy didn't get paid for it because it was the reality of the bug is, I mean, it can only cause DOS condition. But yes, that was an interesting paper to check out. Yeah, so the thing is, essentially, you must have a rule, so a lot of checks are there, then only it would actually work. So, attacking web service generally means you have to actually create a valid XML packet to send to the server. If you use that, if you miss that, then you're screwed. And if again your XML parser doesn't get it right, then also you're screwed. Fuzzing. So we won't be covering how to fuzz XML structure today because that is not the scope. And so this is the simple XML structure. So this will be something which you want to see in the package which you want to send to the server. So over here, car will be the parent. So it has got thing. So here car is the parent. Then it has got child, which mentioned manufacturer, which is Toyota, name is Corolla. Yeah, year 2001, color blue, description, whatever. So this is how the XML packet is. Right. Then we have the headers. That is, you define the type of encoding actually, ISO or what do you call UDF or whatever you mention over there. And then you have the schema and then the body. So this is how the entire packet. So I think this is good. Yeah. So the schema again is defined again over here. So actually this is XML and this would be a SOAP or a actual SOAP. Yeah. I mean this is again an XML thing. Yes, it doesn't have a SOAP envelope, so it will not be passed. But yeah. Let's get back to this. So these following things has to be, in your head. So you have the XML schema, header, which defines the encoding activity, whatever encoding you have, UTF, ISO, or whatever it is. Then you have the schema, which defines the schema of structure. Then you have the body, which defines which has got a header node, and then the child node. So that is how the entire packet, XML packet looks like, or an XML, what do you call it, a file look like. So this is clear, right? So again, now we need to understand, let's say a PHP application or a JSP application. So these applications does not, you don't have to write a code to parse the XML content. There would be inbuilt parsers in these applications which actually parses the content for you. So those parsers again are written by someone, and therefore, I mean, these are the platforms or the methodology they follow to parse those contents. One is state oriented, and that is one method of parsing it. Then DOM, complicated but powerful parsing again. And yes, you can even if you're building your own regular expression, your own parser, you can actually do it using a regular expression, and it's really bad. I mean, how many of you have written a code to parse an XML content? How painful is it? Have you tried doing it in Bash? so it's I mean, I find it annoying actually to parse XML. I don't know, but I had to actually. So I had to once automate this script actually, and I had some dependency that I could not use any other language and had to do it in Bash, and that was really painful. I mean, I had to spend like, it was like for me who's not a good developer, it was really hard for me. So let's get back to. So then again, like I said, so in a form, in a web application form, you send unique ID as a form, as a form element, right? So in a SOAP-based XML request, you send unique ID in an XML content. So here is where the value is stored. That means here is where the input to the application is. If you are attacking an application, you obviously attack the input. So this is where you have to concentrate when you deal with a SOAP-based service. This so a parser actually parses a unique ID. Unique ID is equal to 0 or unique ID is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This. So then we have this XPath. XPath is again another way to parse contents in an XML actually. It has previously it was like a very few. It had like 20 pages of documentation for XPath. Right now it has got more than 100 pages. So the XPath, I will explain before. So if you are sending the request like this, and if you have to pass these values, you have to say you say car, you will point to the value of the car. You say slash car, returns the car element. And if you say double slash car, it returns all the car elements that are these in the document. And if you return class slash color, it will return this blue. Or if you say slash color is blue, returns all the class that have color side equal to. So this is how you pass. So in PHP or JS, you say get value car. Instead of that, in XPath, this is how you take data from the user. So I think that's clear, right? If there is anything, just raise your hand, ask the question. I'm up to answer it if I know it. So, so then again, so this XPath is often used to access XML-enabled databases actually. So you all are aware of SQL injection, right? You can actually have an SQL injection in a SOAP-based service. So the problem with XPath is, so XPath is specifically used for database-related things on XML or a web service. So the problem with XPath is, the way XPath, defines two different objects are again the single quotes. Obviously, that is what the dangerous things which are seen in SQL injection-related things, right? So the thing is like, so I'll explain it. So the example used by the XPath, so this is how it was the username and password in XML file. Let's say it's an authentication form. This is how the backend application would be checking the XML to interact with the username and password. So let's say if I add this thing, single quote, 1, the same way you attack a normal web application, you would be able to actually get an authentication bypass. So the only thing is, it actually goes in the over here. So it actually goes in one of these values. Let's say for the LAN factor, it was the username. This is where you have to actually modify and add your payload. So the testing, this is how you have to follow. So now doing this, so instead of, so this is the XPath injection. So when you send the following, we will add some single code and add this value to this particular query, which is again in the backend to return all the users. So this is one particular query you have to remember, which you obviously know attacking a normal web application. So yeah, just again a payload which you can obviously check the slides. So same way how you exploit an SQL injection in a web application, it's equally same in an XML in a SOAP service. The only thing is it's much more easier. There are plenty of error messages which are given back to the user by the application, so it's kind of easy. So then there are enough documentation and then there are enough materials online to attack an XPath related injection on the internet. So someone is trying to call me. So yeah, let's move on. Huh? This might come from online, right? Yeah. Right. So fine. Then again, all the attacks which you see. So right now, I think you understood the concept. All the attacks you see in a normal web application is happening to a SOAP-based service center. The only thing is you have to have your payloads in the XML data, which is whether it's SQL injection coming, whether something extra which is coming, is the XML injection. So let's say you're actually sending a request to the application, which is what NASA is saying here, rather than description. So you can add an extra field called I don't know, databases, and then send those things. So you can actually have, you can actually manipulate. It's like a form. You can actually edit, manipulate the request and services. We'll actually have demos in the end. So we would rush through the concepts. So yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, so recently there's something which I cannot talk much about, but yeah. In an audit which I did recently, there was an authentication page. It takes a username, password, and the timeout value from the user. In the code, when I inspected, there's a third value which says the server. That means you can actually define where the data is going to be posted to. So internally the application was like the client was there, the server was there, and you can actually add extra value for the server. And in the backend case, it was passed. That I understood the code. What happens is the server actually takes the server value and sends the username and password to that particular server. And whatever response comes from that particular server, it sets, it sees whether it's accepted or not, and then sets cookies. No, it's not. It's a bit of a logic flaw because they are using yeah. So it's like they were using an LDAP, let's say LDAP service. So the LDAP server thing works from the user. Yeah. So you can actually send it to a raw LDAP server. The LDAP server will respond actually saying that this user and password is right. Now the application will set the cookie for the session for the user. Yeah. So what I have to send the packet to your raw LDAP server. The LDAP server will respond back, right? Saying that you have password to whatever you do. Now the server is no, the specific way. The port number is hard coded. The port number is hard coded. Only the server name is.
You can implement that host header tag.
No. This is host header attack is for PHP, and that is how PHP parses. I mean,
So this one was the first server would take whatever data you're passing and send it to the server in the backend what is defined by the client. But the port number is fixed.
yeah.
So my question was, would he send the data to some other port? And we will look at responses. They do an XSP or SSR.
I think we lost the question. Our question was if we do the data validation.
It has to be also on the server. No, she was asking if and only if the server has a mechanism to parse that particular field, then only it will be accepted, right? Yeah. So yes, so that is there. But then again, whatever you see in the request will not be just the data which the server accepts. Sometimes you have to actually look at the code or have to first add extra parameters to see whether it's accepted or not. What I mean all over that is if I can go through the code and see if there are any extra variables which are accepted by the server. So yeah, so yes.
I've heard a lot of times testing web services because it is very important to close plans. So sometimes essentially one of the things that you have to take care of testing web services is the closing of plans.
Yeah, right.
So essentially even if you have some data, you have all bytes, whatever, it is extremely important that you close the plans. Otherwise, alpha XML is something that is easily detected by whatever password.
So this is what I mentioned in the starting, right? If you are going to mess up with the XML structure, then the server would not accept. Unlike a form-based HTTP request, this is very much important in our SOAP-based testing. Okay. Information leak could be there, but no, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it.
It breaks the tree. So you don't close the tab, you add extra tab, you break it. And that's when you know it's really broken. That's when you start closing your tab and then everywhere actually.
So the thing is, whatever error you're getting when you don't close an XML tag is the XML related thing, not the application, not the SQL injection related response, right? Yeah, but yes, that is obviously something you can do.
But if we do a proper data validation, where you don't allow milk code or anything like that.
Yeah, so the problem is like XML data validation. I haven't.
No. Normally, the server side, you do the proper validation because first you get the data only then it means sending to or converting to an XML and then sending to a SOAP.
No. As SOAP from the client. So yeah, actually, we would have.
So you
examples
can
for
see what data is in the page review. You can easily, like you look at the is called, the XML structure is created to the client and then XML structure. So you can easily use verb for that. Then you can see the XML structure going from the client. And then you can tamper it, you can change, you can add whatever content, and then you can send it to the XML. That's it should be added another tag in other places.
So if you can see this. So this is the request. So this is how I'm going to send the request as. Right. So this is a XML document. It doesn't have necessarily have what this is an XML data I'm sending to the server.
See, as I understand, SOAP is server to server communication, not that client to server.
Oh, sir, it's web services, which means the underlying protocol being HTTP.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So the messages will always be some kind of HTTP request. In most cases, it will be a post and it will be a request body. Then you can tamper. So if you are talking about web services, it's web services. So the underlying protocol for transport will be HTTP.
There are many times you send the web service request directly to the server and get the order. Like if you want a counter, you get this SOAP for the reason that I don't send it.
And a lot of times you will the description right there, you will visit for the XML structure, and then you suddenly say structure will be and like
So the crucial point here is that link is crucial. I mean, if you know that link only then you can manage it. Otherwise,
Yeah, you need to know
the
the
link.
yeah.
You have UTI right for discovery. Login to discovery.
Obviously, idea is that you need to have the descriptions. But the person after this, we have to choose the description. That's an idea.
So I have a couple of code actually here. So here you can see, I mean, whatever body I'm receiving from the client, so that is like, this would be the body, the XML data which I would be receiving. I pass the entire thing to an XML parser, right? So you have the entire, so it's actually treated as a string. The entire XML file would be treated, which is coming from the client, is treated as a string, and then it's actually passed. And then now you can actually point to, or say like, if you want a specific value. Yeah, so you pass the entire string, and then you say echo movies dot. Yeah. So I'm not sure. What is it? No, I don't think. No, this is a different thing. I'll have to post it to.
You could use some kind of text
editor would work.
Or open it in command and VI.
No, maybe an external application. I don't know. I'm not sure. Did I have? So this is visible. This is fine. Okay, so the. So yeah, so that is the point. The point is. Okay. Anyways. So yeah, so now you pass in that thing and then you point to a particular thing. You can return this particular field and it will return that particular field. But it has to go faster. But let's go back to the slides and we'll come back to the demos. Yeah. So practically any other attacks which you see on the web application is possible on web services as well. But the only thing is it goes inside the XML envelope. Again, same as HTTP, the security is handled by HTTPS actually. That is a protocol. Obviously, it can be set over HTTPS to the server. That is how security defined in SOAP service. Where? Oh, okay. Oh, 2 minutes, bro? 10 minutes. What is that, break?
Okay.
See,
Oh, okay. Right. So, yes. I have to actually go through. Okay, so let's get back to a vulnerable thing. So over here, this is top and this is up. So you can suppose the payload which I'm sending to the server. 1 minute. So yeah, can you spot the payload which I'm sending to the server?
Using username.
Yeah. I'm saying a single So this is actually one test case actually. Again the test case. I mean the payload. Yeah. Yeah. So all the payloads are in the slides. I'm not going to explain in detail about the payload. Test cases are here. Like, so again, you add a single code and ansible. So you are actually injecting an external or external node into this thing and say attribute is password is what you want. So you're actually manipulating the XML file and sending the first case to the server. So again, so all the normal HTTP related attacks, this is how you do it. So now we have something very interesting called external entity attack. So this guy was there from 1998. I've seen posts about this attack. And like I said, last one, 2 months back, a guy got 26 lakhs for this particular work. So it's not actually seen. I mean, people really don't. I mean, I'm not sure what leads to these bugs still in there, but then there's something which is often not cared in the applications. So external entity attack. The thing is, XML has something called entities, and then entities are like defining a variable, defining Rahul, saying is equal to Garage4Hackers. Now they have something called external entity. So I can define a variable, states as Rahul, and say the value of Rahul comes from a server called Garage4Hackers.com or null.com. So it will actually fetch the value from a remote server. Or you can actually tell the application that the value has to come from the local server, from a particular file. So that is called entities. So it can either point to an entity locally or it can point to a URL that is remote. So again, let's come back to the XML structure. Embody. This is where the entities are defined. So here I'm going to define an element called who, which is what any character like entity. And then I'm going to say the value has to come from system file development program. So this is called external entities in XML. And every XML parser has to acknowledge this thing. This is mainly used like used to include. Okay, I will show you the example of how do you include these things. So you see a code which would actually just demonstrate. Yeah. So this is actually one error you have. This is not a well-formed XML error actually. But if you look at the code, how I am including, so this is a PHP code. So these two XML files are loaded by this particular thing, and are passed and are placed back. So 1 minute. Let's show you an example. Yeah. So this guy is a simple web-based form which you can actually post data to it. I'll show you how we use XML2.php.
trying to get data from.
Yeah, I'm supposed to. Okay. This thing was supposed to be yeah, it's supposed to. Yeah, so this is how it is actually passed. I send this following request to the server. Yeah, so this is the following request I send to the server. Alright. It has got the following values. So it has got the following values: the document, title, from, to, body, and the backend code actually passes it. It simply, so this is the PHP parser for XML, symbol XML load underscore string, and then you pass the body, and it passes the value saying that from has the value, Joe 2 has a value, XSC body has a value. I know this is the answer. So this is how the actual passing is worked. So it is actually converted to variables in the backend, right? So in external entities, what happens is, so here in this request, we actually passed the value for 40 watt of from value is Joe, to value is XSC. But in external entity, what you do is, you tell the server that the value of XSC, 2, comes from, you have to put an AND over here, has to come from this particular file. Define an entity for 2. Entity XSC, the value of XSC has to come from the file. So it will actually, the parser, the XML parser actually will read the local file and then use the value as 2. So what happens is, you can actually pass arbitrary values to this particular thing. You can actually craft.
And where you have placed whatever 2 you have defined?
2 is you define a variable actually.
Okay.
You define a variable. Foo,
Yeah,
and you have the value for XSC. I can actually make it to whatever I want. Let's do one more 10%. Yeah, so we'll break and then come back to the most. No. Yeah. Yeah, so here I'm going to add an AND XSC. So this is going to say that from value, to value has to be taken from etc password. So what happens is, when you forward it, you get the etc password file. Right, so the client only sends the request. View source. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's thanks. So you actually, instead of supplying a username value from the client, you tell the server to take the value from the local file and process it and give it back to the user. So you said read it from etc password file and it just responds back. So this was the exact same flow in Facebook. There's nothing different. So the thing is, this is actually an arbitrary file read. The same vulnerability could be used to have a potential code execution on the server. Alright, so we will come back after the break. you.
Thank you, Rahul.
I'm going back, right?
So what we say, we will make Rahul like give a talk next month again. Because we have some more talks lined.
Oh, we can.
How much is the content device? How many minutes more?
It's just demos actually, so I just
Yeah,
explained.
you can finish it. These are very important. Everybody has talks.
See, actually, the thing is there on the slide, so it doesn't need anything. What you need to know about it.
So therefore, like we can have a new again a talk next month.
Yeah, I
Like
can do that.
continuation from this
Continuation. Okay.
with more demos and
Yeah.
practical. Okay. So Akash, let's have networking session.
Can I disconnect?
We'll continue with this instead of
Yeah,
working.
okay then.
No, but then I don't have much.
What are
1 minute. I don't have much contents.
What does India?
Just
What does India?
So is everybody okay to continue this, or do you want the networking session?
You want the networking session or?
Continue the session.
Continue.
Raise your hand.
Okay, continue. Like another 10 minutes.
So then I'll just quickly go through the payloads you can test. So this payload, usually you saw you read from etc password file. This payload is actually going to cause a DOS condition on the server because it's trying to read from random, and that at times causes DDoS conditions on the server. Actually, there's nothing more.
He started with that, right? He said he does not know what's the next.
So it's basically the payloads you can try. Same way you read ETC password, you can read the ETC shadow. Obviously, the web service has also to be running as root for reading the file. Then if it's on Windows, you can read the boot.ini file. So these are the things which you can check whether an XSC attack is actually there or not. And for getting a bounty in most of the big bounty programs, this is enough. But if you are evil and you wanted to compromise the server and get a full code execution and raise the bounty money, then there are other things. Oh yeah. So the same way you can actually tell the value to be coming from an attacker text file. So you say read the value from this text file and use it as XSC. So this would help you actually to dynamically control the value. So I'll show you in the next slide. I'll show you. Yeah. So there are a lot of other protocols which would help you. HTTP is one that you already saw, or we can actually create. Then you have FTP. So I'll show you the.
I have a question. If you
demo.
have an HTTP server, still does it work?
If I have an HTTP server, of course.
Because handshake will be happening. No, I need to send.
So you have to understand. You have to understand this file is read by the XML parser. So here in this code, you have so single XML lore and the string. This is XML parser of PHP. The name of the thing is it's a library actually. The library would actually fetch the contents. So obviously the library has to have a mechanism to do a call to an HTTP service. PHP by default has. This library obviously has. So yes, it can do. And the server is doing, not the client. I think that part is clear, right? You are asking the server to fetch it from somewhere dynamically, not the client. Okay, we will just go to it.
No, but if server accepts only HTTPS, then how can I create a client?
No. Once the client has sent this kind of data to one server, and the external entity, right, the server is going to act on that, and the server will become a client to whatever that URL is pointing to. This is not processed by the client. It's executed
By the server.
By the server, but if the server expects secure SSL HTTPS in the link, then how would I be able to? Because I won't be having that big gap.
Why would you think the library will not do that? Why not? Yeah. PHP curl will do it. Whatever is parser is using for external entity.
But you need the handshake, right? You need to send some key value there so that
No, see.
it is verified with the other end.
Not necessary. You can, for most command line clients, by default, you can even ignore the verification.
Let's say
Using curl, if you just say curl HTTP, it will go to an
curl itself handles those things, right? Curl itself handles the certificate mechanism. So that is what I'm
Another
saying.
interesting attack in this particular one, right? If you are ever testing a AWS based deployment, the way the Microsoft has this protocol when it's not able to get an IP address, it assigns one which is starting with 169 dot. Yeah, exactly. So AWS does the exact same thing. So if you ever find an XML injection, you can retrieve a lot more data about a particular instance because that is always available as file over that URL. And it's like a local host read.
Yeah, so here I've added telling the server to read the value of XSC from the server file hack protect. Then over here you can have an external server access. This is all the demonstration I'm having. Then on my server, access server, I have the file text, hack text, and it has got the value hack. And when the server processes it, it actually processes the value from the external server. Right. So HTTP is one protocol that is supported. Same way, there are
What format is it at the bottom?
this.
Yes. JavaScript.
Yeah, so this is a simple object actually after the process. So once the server DHT XML parser parses the file, it is converted to an object file. So now you can actually say the value of title is equal to from what or value of from is equal to show, right? So yeah, so same way, so sometimes what happens is, what I've seen in certain servers is like people who actually know, I mean the web developers who know about XSC attacks, they sometimes try to disable it by preventing it from loading external files. So they say HTTP is present in an external entity because external entities are actually a necessary event. They say if HTTP or HTTPS is present, block the content. So that means at those times, what you can do is you can actually load the content from an FTP server. It is actually accepted. There is a protocol for news that is again accepted. Group or CTAG main too, or you can actually have a PHP's filter. Do I have an example for that?
Mail2 does not have this URL.
Huh?
Mail2 schema is not like that.
Oh, okay, the schema of mail.
Yeah. URL schema.
This is just to say that the protocol is accepted. I don't think any of these protocols.
Gopher has an impact and Mail2 will not.
Yeah. So 1 minute, I might have an example for that.
How do you avoid these attacks?
Wait. So one way, like I said, few developers does is filter application engineers filter these sort of things or system or those sort of things from the XML thing. But then you have a better way of doing it. Okay, 1 minute. Yeah. So in PHP, the example would be to say disable external entity. So you say define before you load the XML parser with the value what do you call it, 4. Disable XML entity to true. So this would not load external entities at all in your web app. So this is very specific to PHP.
Yeah,
Other languages.
Other languages will be.
So that is what I said. So if it's needed, then you have to actually write painful parsers. Yeah, white listing. But then again, the other protocol which I said, this is few. There are a lot more actually, which we can actually even take a separate session for just attacking. I mean, what do you call it? Just payloads of XSC. So there are, if it's the language is PHP, then there are things called PHP filters, which can actually dynamically construct a PHP language and could be used as a payload. So then you cannot, blacklisting is obviously not a good idea because a good hacker can invest good amount of time finding a new attack method. He can obviously bypass this one. So yeah, blacklisting is not the one, but if it's very much necessary, I don't know, what would we suggest? I would not suggest using it. So technically, the basics of SOC is all the OWASP drop-in attacks which you see in a normal web application is applicable to a web service as well. The only thing is
Session management, how it will go to do?
Pardon? Session
Management.
Why is it not valid? Why is it valid here?
How does it apply?
Why? So the biggest use of XML is in construction of API calls actually. So if you want to make an API for your application, you normally depend on XML based services. So at those part, yes, you have to have an authentication, right?
Authentication is fine.
It's same, right? I mean,
It's not same.
A lot of web services require you to authenticate and have a proper
So let's say Facebook API runs on it runs on SOAP. How do you differentiate between two different users in that? So everything which is applicable to a web application is applicable here as well. Yes, no.
which version of
This is the order of XML.
This is from the slide, Alex's slide. Right?
Yeah, so this is the order of.
This is the older one.
Yeah, this is the order of. This is the order of XML. Okay.
I'm not in trial working on this. Right?
So yeah, simply to disable this would be one option.
Or can we not do data validation at the website? Because from the XML, a developer would fetch that XML from the SOAP, and then he will go to the database, get the information, right? So there is some coding part over there.
So those parts, yes, you have to have obviously filters. The value which are red, like you see over here, this has to be obviously passed to a. So this is the object value. These values has to be obviously filtered. That is like an additional layer. All these attacks we just talk are very specific to XML attacks only. Now we didn't go to application layer much at all. These are all specific to XML. Right. After XML is passed, that is the next step. Whatever we talk today is happening at the XML passing stage. I think we should wind the rest.
Yeah. I think we
Thank you.
put that break and session in the schedule. No, it was there from 11:30 to 12 at 11:40.
So give us some traffic on our site, by the way. So you have a forum also where you can register. It would be great if we can have at least few of you guys to contribute over there. But thank you.
Thanks. You guys need break or you can hear you for no break. Excited. So break and like we spill on to the next talk. It's okay, we will delay. Clarify 12:10.
Akash has 1 hour, so
I'll finish early.
hey, this is a fiasco, man. Akash.
The recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, all the attacks which are